If you loved Matthew Lillard in Scream, go watch his other cult classic horror for free. Matthew Lillard is an iconic name in the horror genre, mostly for his performance as Stu Macher in Scream, but he's also gaining recent recognition as William Afton in Five Nights at Freddy's. However, one of his lesser-known appearances comes in 13 Ghosts, a movie that was criticized on its initial release, but has garnered appreciation over the years. The movie is a remake of a classic William Castle feature of the same name and tells the story of a ghost hunter who collects troubled spirits. Lillard is obviously the standout, injecting his signature humor and magnetism into the role. Still, 13 Ghosts has impressive character design and practical effects that allow it to extend beyond a 2000s cliché horror flick. 13 Ghosts sees Arthur Tommy Shalhoub inheriting the house of his late uncle, Cyrus Critico's F. Murray Abraham. Alongside his children and their nanny, Maggie Ravdega, Arthur decides to visit the house, especially since the family has been struggling financially after the death of Arthur's wife in a house fire. Architecturally, the house design is hugely impressive. It is modern in appearance due to its rectangular shape and glass walls. However, it is only when the house is activated accidentally that the true beauty is uncovered, as the structure is made up of moving parts that make the house feel like a character in itself. The constant fluctuation of the layout, as walls move in all directions, feels aesthetically similar to Cube, and adds to the immersive feeling of claustrophobia. It gives the movie a unique steampunk style and makes the chase sequences through the house unpredictable as the set is constantly adjusting. However, the most interesting aspect is hidden in the house's basement, as Cyrus' psychic assistant Dennis, Lillard, reveals to the family. It transpires that Cyrus built the house as a machine to see the past, present, and future, but in order to operate it, he needed to capture ghosts. Therefore, in the basement, he is keeping these angry spirits in prison cells covered in barrier spells. 13 Ghosts has an immaculate attention to detail, and even though their total screen time is limited, each ghost has a unique design and an extensive backstory. They are not only singular in aesthetics, but they cover a range of time periods, giving them all distinct motivations. While some are fairly unthreatening, such as the firstborn son, others are terrifying, particularly the Juggernaut who stands at 7 feet tall and can break a man in two with his bare hands. Matthew Lillard's Dennis is a different combination of horror and comedy than Scream's Stu. 13 Ghosts is packed with creativity, but Matthew Lillard is, without a doubt, the best part. Although Dennis is much more clued in due to his knowledge of the spiritual world, Lillard is able to take all the humor that made Stu Macher so memorable in Scream and apply it to a completely different type of role. He plays an important part in the narrative, as he acts as the family's insight into what is actually going on, but Lillard plays it in a disassociated and jaded manner. With Stu, his comedy comes from his gullibility and immaturity, so Lillard overplays his lines, stretching out the punchlines to show the excitement and youth in his character. Dennis' wit is much more dry, with Lillard's performance much more blunt and matter-of-fact. Throughout the movie, Dennis is sick of Arthur's family making illogical decisions, and you can't help but laugh at his frustration. When he tells the family about the ghosts in the basement, he gets agitated when they still go down the stairs, exclaiming that it isn't a petting zoo. Both performances are a little melodramatic, but Lillard shows the distinction by making Dennis much more firm compared to Stu, whose lines feel more clumsy. This exaggerated tone feels like a signature of Lillard, but since Dennis is way more snarky than the likes of Stu, he weaves much-needed vibrancy into the mundane family melodrama. His reluctance to offer the exposition that his character is placed in the movie to give makes an archetypal character engaging. Lillard essentially reinvents the evil by association sidekick, who simply does what his boss tells him to do despite his own reservations. This gives 13 Ghosts a meta-element, heightened by Dennis' sarcastic observations of the other character's stupidity, notably when he asks Arthur how he's lost his kids in a glass house. Despite its 2001 release, 13 Ghosts borrows the humor of 90s horror and balances it with genuinely terrifying creature design to create a horror movie that is still great over 20 years later.